Hi, everyone. This is the second part of our deep dive workshop. Power and expansion through enlivening our energy field, or something like that. We're sharing about, activating the energy bodies and learning more about it. And this is the second part of the workshop where Erin Larsen is going to be the main facilitator.
Hello. Everyone hear me okay?
Oh,
jeez, what did you just do? And we're back. He froze the screen there for a second. Everyone's here with us. Good. It's like, whew. Okay. So for this next section will be about 30 minutes of a discussion. So do whatever you need to do to make yourself comfortable. If you want to sit at a table and take some notes, there'll be a little bit of the more kind of gross mental aspect talking about the chakras. So you'll be listening and learning, and then we're going to move into the feeling and the being part. So yeah, get yourself comfortable, have a glass of water. If you're still nibbling, don't eat too much, but we aren't going to do anything that's really a lot of exertion, but we will be doing a meditation, and it is nice to be fairly empty for that. So if you are eating something really light, like avocado and mango together, which is my preference, and I feel like I need something that'll fill me up but won't weigh me down, avocado is great because it's got that fat in it. So we are going to talk about the chakras and the energy centers and the nadis. So I, like Lisa shared, when I first heard about this, you're just kind of like, what are these things in our bodies, these spinning wheels of light? And that's the way they're described, but you can't see them on this level. Some people can see them and they can see the auras. I personally cannot yet. I think I'll move into that stage in this next part of my life I'm feeling. But as a scientist and one who studied the body, if I was in a lab dissecting a cadaver, I'm not going to see these. What you are going to see is the bones and the flesh and nerves. So for you just to sense where this is energetically in the body, if you visualize and sense your spine, most of us can, and you can just sit on your hand and feel your tailbone, and then put one head on the crown of your head. You're touching what's known as your axial skeleton right now, the axis of your body. Just close your eyes and sense that it has curvatures to it. Right in front of, if it's helpful to visualize this, is said to be this channel of energy known as Sushumna Nadi. You can take your hands down if you'd like. You can keep them there if that's helpful to ground and orient yourself. So right in front of the spine, still visualizing, this is how it was described to me, is this channel about the size of a garden hose. And I like to think of it as that because the goal with these practices is to create this openness and this expansiveness in our bodies. And I'm sure you can all think of a time where you felt really open and expansive and supported and loved. And you can probably also connect to a time when you felt blocked. You couldn't find the right words, or you felt unloved, or you felt yourself shut down emotionally or physically. My nature when I'm not getting what I need is I can literally get blocked. I get constipated, and it's not often. It's happened a couple times in my life, and my body, it just shuts down. And it is usually in a relationship, in a love relationship, where I'm not expressing myself. I'm kind of not dealing with something. And so through this practice, I've learned about that. And that's given me then the power to make different choices in my life because I want to feel happy. I want to feel open. I want to feel receptive. I don't want to feel blocked. I don't want to feel heavy. So I like to use this imagery of a garden hose because most of us have worked with a garden hose before, and we use ours all the time. And sometimes it gets a kink and I go to turn it on and I squeeze the hose and no water comes out. It's totally blocked. water is not flowing. So I go to the hose and I unwind it and kind of flake it out. You pull it out so all the kinks get out and all the circles. And then when I go to squeeze the hose, the water comes out and I can water my garden. Well, this is a good analogy because this idea of this Sushumna Nadi, this main energy channel, when we tap into it, we can tend to the garden of our body, the garden of our emotions, and we can allow the energy to move through. And then we can integrate and feel into it. Oftentimes we just don't want to deal with it. Like if I don't water my garden, the plants die. I've got to water my garden. What happens if I water my garden too much? Then I also kill them because I give them too much water. So the practice is all about finding the balance, And then we have these different interconnections which we can work with that correspond to physically the different parts of our body, different developmental times in our body, different emotions in our body. So visualizing that Sushumna Nadi, the root Su in yoga, if you've heard of the word sukha, is ease. It's ease. So we want to create this feeling of ease in the body. And like Karen was saying, I've dealt with like major SI pain. I can't do anything. I don't feel good in my body. Like just nothing feels good. My energy gets zapped. I don't have energy. Can't sleep as well. So we feel drained. So this idea of creating ease in the body, if that helps you. So finding a position where you feel easeful, where the energy can move easy, where that water can easily flow through that path. Now, along the Sushumna Nadi are these two other nadis that relate to the masculine and feminine energy, sun and moon, okay? Lunar and solar. The left side is said to actually come in through the left nostril, which is why we do pranayama, to move the energy through the body. And we breathe through the nose and not the mouth. There's a purifying action. Ida is the lunar, it's the moon. It's related more to the feminine and to the cooling. And there's actually a practice where you hold the right nostril and you only breathe through the left to cool the body if you feel overheated, and vice versa. You only breathe through the right if you need to bring in more heat in the body. And so the right is Pingala, it's the solar, it's the more masculine energy. And then these two nadis wrap through the body like a DNA helix. Pretty cool. Like a DNA helix. And where they intersect are the chakras. Okay? And they do go up to the third eye and then come down throat, heart, navel center, pelvis right in front of the sacrum, and then down at the very base of your spine where I had you put your hand in like you sit on your hand, you're touching that lower chakra. Okay, so does that make sense? I'm happy to, if you have any questions, to pop them in because this is educational. So if I feel like it might take more time, I'll say we'll address that later. But if anything kind of pops up and would help me to be more clear for you, I'm happy for you to pop a question in there.
I have a comment question.
Yeah.
I was letting people in, so you may have said it already, but the Sushumna, can you expand that? Like when you're talking about the nadis and the Sushumna, I see it as energetic highways.
Yes.
Electrical impulses as you, so the Sushumna is that right? Am I saying it? I'm kind of pronouncing it probably goofy.
Perfect.
But okay, all right. She taught me yesterday because I used to call it the
Sushumna.
Yeah.
I did as well.
Is that there's a main column that goes through our soma in front of our vertebra.
Yep.
And that it connects all.
Yeah.
And then the nadis go through the Sushumna and where they cross is part of the chakras.
Correct.
And each chakra has a point, and then you'll be okay.
Yeah.
So anyways, I just wanted to share, like, that's how I see it, is energetic highways.
Perfect.
Like I think of freeways where cars drive, again, this concept of clog, like traffic, no traffic.
Yeah.
That we want our Sushumnas, our main energy source
Mhm.
to be flowing,
Mhm.
and we want these intersections to be flowing, no traffic, or in no kink.
And it goes beyond the body.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm bringing the energy in, it's circling and then going back out. So we can cleanse, we can flush. And Sushumna goes up to the universe, to the heavens, and down to the ground. It's not contained. So, and again, it's like a little esoteric, and it's like, well, maybe, I don't know. But this hopefully is helpful.
Well, this is yoga science.
Yeah.
This is not metaphysics. It's yoga science, the science of yoga.
So we'll talk about the chakras. So chakra, the word chakra is composed of 2 syllables. And I thought this was interesting. I love science. I love to get into the nitty gritty. So I love studying Sanskrit. So the word chakra is, the first syllable is cha, which when you look at just that syllable, it has 2 meanings. Just like a lot of words in our language can have different meanings. And one meaning can be pure and clean, moving, clear energy flow. And the other one can be unsteady, trembling, tremulous. And we were also talking like, can also be blocked. So the chakras can be moving, the energy can be moving in a way that there's clarity, there's ease, there's flow, or there's dis-ease, there's the opposite. It's blocked, so it's not going easy, or it's unsteady, or it's like shaky, which I thought was really interesting to look at that word. The whole word together is said to represent a discus. In fact, Shiva in Nataraja, he is dancing in the ring of fire and he's holding a chakra. It's a discus that he holds to like destroy evil. So there's chakra is a discus, a spinning wheel. And so that is where that word chakrasana is, wheel pose. If you're familiar, if the yoga teachers out there are familiar with the back bend. So that's that word. So a wheel. So we think of these as these spinning wheels in our bodies, and they can be spinning easily and freely, or really like big and expansive. I've had my chakras read before, or they can be kind of like not spinning in a healthy way and very small. So we have this opportunity to expand our life force, like James has been talking about, through these practices. So we'll talk about the different chakras now. I find this really fascinating. When I started to study about it and read Judith Lassiter's book, it helped me to get a lot of insight into my own personal journey, and then a insight into my own healing and really acceptance. Like, I can't release the trauma that I've experienced in my life, but I can integrate it and I can learn from it. And then I can make a choice in how I proceed in my life and my own healing practice, what is going to heal me, the poses, the choices in my life, how I nourish myself. So that is my hope for you all, that maybe you get a little bit of insight to have more ease.
What's her book called?
It's Judith Lassiter and Wheels of Light.
Okay.
I think I can find it. We can put it Lassiter, L-A-S-E.
In the replay, yeah, because a lot of people like to have these as
yes.
with that.
So the first chakra is Muladhara. And so Mula means root, and this chakra is related to our survival, and it begins to develop in utero, and then goes on to about age 1. So this is the chakra that helps us to feel grounded and safe. Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Do we have our basic needs met? As a child, are you being fed? Are you being held? Are you warm? That's it. Do we have our basic needs met? It also relates with our finances as well as we get older, because that's meeting our basic needs. So we're going to bring in some questions for you able to kind of tap into your own personal life and your body. And you can write these down, and I think we'll put them in the replay as well. Yeah. It'll be nice. So this first one for your root chakra, and if you just want to drop your attention there for a moment, we're going to do this later in the meditation, more so in the feeling, is the question, am I grounded? Am I safe? Am I taken care of? And if you have anything that comes up for you and you want to write a little note, or you want to think about that for a second, And these change in our life. They are not fixed. The energy is not fixed in the body, which is great. That means we have choice to move it, which is wonderful to know that nothing is permanent. That's the big practice of yoga, is that everything, it's called anitya, impermanence. There's nothing is permanent. This physical body is not permanent. These relationships are not permanent. So it can be a little scary, but it's helpful. And fear is what arises when Muladhara chakra is out of balance.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
So before we did this, Erin and I knew that we would open up kind of a discussion style because we're together. This is a miracle, right? So as I'm thinking, like, I've always been curious because I've been learning about this subject for 30 years, and it's still
longer
like,
than me.
it's still like, huh? So can you talk a little bit about, we're at the Muladhara chakra, about how like energetically, these are points of, they're access points in our soma energetically that is concentrated with these subjects or these questions. So I'm still trying to grasp my brain around it, and maybe, you know what I mean? Like, so what is a function of a chakra? Why is it there? And why is it those things? So my understanding is that it's a seat, a condensed part of our consciousness with these subjects, so that we can exchange information when we get our basic needs met, when we feel like we have a home, shelter, when we feel like we are being nurtured and seen and appreciated, when we're warm, then that part of our energy body can be open, and the information from the universe in and out is flowing.
Yes.
If we don't have those things, if we're having trouble making our rent or paying our mortgage or buying a house, or we feel unsafe, then maybe that part of our energy body is clogged, like you said, like the hose. So I'm just curious to know, like, how these points of light, these spinning wheels of light, I'm just kind of imagining that they're like connecting it with like planes of consciousness for these topics that come out through the body like this. Does that make sense? So
I feel like you shared that. Was all great information.
Was it? Okay. Well, I'm not
it,
sure. Yeah, because I just want to like keep demystifying it. Like, why is the heart chakra about giving and receiving love? So the way that I see it is, it just feels like studying consciousness, that consciousness can be like harmonic. Like, I'm not a musician, but there's notes, right? C, D, E, F. That I'm kind of seeing that the chakra systems like that each chakra is a note, which we're going to be chanting, that these topics, we have access to engage with our whole self through these chakras, through these questions and topics.
Yes.
Okay. I don't know if that was helpful, because
It was helpful. Yeah. It's very helpful.
Okay.
You balance. That's what you.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we'll move up to the second chakra, which is said to be right in front of the sacrum. And so you can take your hand, and if you put your middle finger like on your tailbone, then your palm. The beautiful thing about our bodies is we're all this sacred geometry. Your palm is about the size of your sacrum. Pretty cool. So you've seen, like, you put your foot in I have small feet. I've got really short arms. So your foot sits right in the length of your forearm. So we actually have this sacred geometry in our body. So your palm is about the size of your sacrum. And that's actually an energy hold. And I do Thai body work. So that connection between the sacrum and the palm. So this is the seat of creativity and emotion. And the element here, moving from the gross to the subtle, is water. So the pelvic bowl, think of a bowl holding water. It's very fluid. Our emotions are very fluid. Our creativity allows us to tap into that fluid energy. And this begins to develop from 1 to 2. A baby starts to recognize their parents and perhaps recognize their family and smile when they see people they love. So it's also the seat of sexual energy and beginning to develop relationships. So sharing just my life, my father passed away when I was 19 months old, and there's that trauma there. There's some things I've had to work through in relationships, and feeling the connection then with the root of feeling that safeness in a relationship, because it was all, I didn't have that as a child. I didn't feel like I had that love and support. At least my mother was wonderful, but she was dealing with the death of my father. So for me, you shared your first memory. My first memory is being in a diaper on the couch in the basement alone, like just alone. Like, where are my parents? So like, I remember that comes up for me, and it was interesting to start to learn about the chakras and be like, oh, that's really interesting. I have a lot of pain. My pain in like the SI joint sometimes, especially when I'm emotionally imbalanced. So it's just something for us to learn about ourselves. We're all different, but maybe as you learn, you're like, oh, that's interesting. These are just ways that we can love and accept ourselves better, and just have more compassion for ourselves. That's the other way I see about learning about the chakras. So the question I pose with this one when I sit in meditation is, am I creative and joyful? Do I feel creative and joyful? And if you want, you can put a hand on your abdomen and your sacrum. I often bring my hands to my heart just naturally when I'm feeling, but just sensing that area. You're going to get more of an opportunity for this later, to really tap into that area. So what might come up for you? You know, it's like, oh, sometimes I feel really creative and just spontaneously joyful. And sometimes I don't. This is going to change for you. These are great questions to bring into a meditation, especially if you find that like just sitting in meditation and not thinking is really hard. Bring in something really constructive to help you move the energy into your meditation practice. So these are really nice to keep in your meditation journal if you have one. The next chakra is Manipura. And this is, have I said the colors?
Not
Well,
much.
If I didn't, we're going to come back when we're visualizing that. So Manipura is the navel center. It's the sun center. It's our digestive fire. I'm not going into so much of the physical. I taught a week-long retreat on this, and we did one a day. So there's a lot. So if I leave some out, we'll do a chakra retreat one day.
Oh, that sounds fun.
So Manipura is our willpower. It's yellow. It's our fire. So the element is fire. And this starts to develop if you have children. I was a nanny. I watched kids of every single age. And the children, you've heard of like the terrible twos, terrible threes. Age 2 to 3 now, children are like, that's mine. And I know, and they kind of like know how to, they want to do it themselves. They're moving into their place of like willpower, of their power. They're moving into their sense of power. And it's really important to have that, to allow children to experience that. It's really important for us to feel like we have control of our power, and we're using it in a way that is beneficial to all beings. Power is not a bad thing. Right? Everything is in balance. So I can choose and act is the affirmation here. I can choose and act. I am in control of my actions. Sometimes I don't feel in control of my actions because I react. But we can learn to be in control and choose and act. So moving in this place of a healthy sense of power, that's when we're in balance. So there's a balance and there's an imbalance. It's pretty obvious if you're imbalanced, you know, you don't feel safe, you don't feel creative and joyful. Maybe when I'm out of balance, like I assert my power in a way that hurts others. And then ultimately hurts myself, or maybe I don't stand up for myself, or maybe I don't stand up for other people around me. So there's a time to assert yourself and assert your power and your will in a way that ultimately protects yourself and ultimately protects the people around you. So that comes from Manipura.
You mind if I interject something?
Never.
Because again, like you're saying, we could do one chakra for a whole week. And so I'm always curious, how can I make this practical, like this education practical? And while I'm listening to you, I'm remembering in private practice working as a psychotherapist that a lot of these things you're talking about are philosophical and psychological. And of course, they relate to the physical as well, physical elements. So I'm really curious about the psychological element, the way that you're sharing it, which is so beautiful. And so when we feel blocked or clogged in these areas with these themes, there are ways through yoga, through Gentle Somatic Yoga, through breathing, pranayama, to open these centers, right? That's the practical part. So we can move our psychology, we can change our choice points through these practices. Yeah, that's what I'm just thinking. Like somebody might come into my practice who's having relationship difficulty, second chakra. So not just telling the story about why the relationship is dysfunctional or has problems, we can move the body like we did, like in the pelvic thrust to open up the physical and the energetic body for the energy to change. So I'm just wanted to bring that in, is that I just really appreciate that we have these methods, these techniques that we can use where it's not just story.
Yeah.
We can move it energetically. Well, first, you notice we move it physically, energetically, then it can break the pattern and help move it, integrate it through. I just wanted to share that. Is that okay?
I love when you interject.
Okay, yeah,
I love it.
because I'm just thinking
Yeah,
well, I'm just thinking like if a person comes into my our practice that's like lonely or has a lot of needs that are unmet. So this person might be kind of sucky. You know, there's 5 main character types, which in core energetics. So if we can help enliven this part of the body, you know, like today we did these ha sounds. If we can open it, these clogs up, then the energy can move, this person get their needs met.
Yeah.
So just wanted to kind of weave in some of the psychological.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
So then we move up to Anahata, and this is the heart center. Of course, relates to love and relationship as well. And so this then starts to develop like age 4 or 5. So children start to have other relationships besides, they start to have friends. They start to feel like, this is my friend. I watch kids, like they start to show really like love for each other. And this is, that affirmation then is, I am loved. I love and connect. I give love freely, and I'm able to receive love freely. That one just like, that one hits me pretty hard. So I am loved, I love and connect. And yeah, the movement practices that you brought in, it feels so good to open up and move those parts of your body. And this is a lot of this heady stuff, you know, we're thinking about it, but then when you start to do the practices, energy just moves. You don't have to think about it. You don't have to understand it. Like there's a science behind this. It is going to move that stuck energy. So the next one, and that's green. The next one is the throat, Vishuddha. And the prefix of that VI is to see. So it's that space though that we're moving from the throat then of the third eye. So there is kind of this like transition time, and we're moving into more of the subtle energies. So it was fire and then air. I didn't mention, I knew I left something out with the heart. So the lungs and the heart are actually very interconnected physiologically. They are really intertwined. And so that is why I personally really work a lot with the breath. I do a lot of breath work and meditation with my private clients and my classes, because the breath, that's the only thing we have control over, really. I mean, we can control our emotions and our actions, and like we can control what we feed ourselves, but like a lot of stuff we don't have control over, but we do have control over the breath, and then the breath affects everything. So air, wind, and I can see the wind moving right now. I can see this beautiful tree out here in front of James's back of his house moving. So we might not necessarily see wind, but we see its effects. And when we see fire, and we see water, and we see earth. So these are the more gross aspects. And now we're moving into the more subtle. So the throat, okay, we're moving up into the ether. So this is where we start to get into the ether, the head, the neck, and head. So that is the element here. And this means purity. And if you're familiar, if you've read about the deities, Vishnu, again, we see the V, he has a blue throat, and he is said to take in the hala hala, the poison, and hold it in his throat and purify it into nectar. So and he has a blue throat. So we could go into mythology and all of that, but there's a lot of times with breath practices that we hold and we retain, and we bring in this hold of the throat, and they're said to purify the energy. So bringing this idea of working with the energy to purify it, to purify our energy. This is where we express ourselves. So not only through our words, but also how we express ourselves with our bodies. It's how we learn to ask for what we need, which I love that question. Am I able to ask for what I need? It's a really powerful thing to learn as an adult, is that people cannot know our needs. We need to learn to ask for our needs. And so this is the time where you start to move into like early adolescence. You know, as a child, you just cry. It's like, why are you crying? You're like, I don't know why. Like, kids know why they're crying. You're like, are you hungry? Do you need your diaper changed? You know, what's going on? They have weird temper tantrums, like they wanted a certain cereal and they didn't get it. But then as they get older, they start to able to understand their emotions better and ask for what they need. So fostering that in the children and learning to foster that within yourself, tapping into it. Sometimes we don't know what we need. So the yoga practice does that for us. What do I need? You know, sitting it with that in the meditation practice. That's a great question to bring in. Just like, what do I need? And so the affirmation for this is, I speak my truth. I speak my truth.
Can I ask you a question?
Mm-hmm.
What is to you the element of ether?
Ether is space. Sorry. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay.
Ether or space. I think that word ether.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's space. Space is easier sometimes. So space, it doesn't have movement.
Okay.
All the other elements have, like earth moves. It definitely moves. Earthquakes, water moves, fire moves, wind moves. Ether and space don't have that.
So first chakra is earth.
First chakra is earth.
Element. And what's interesting, because you were talking about air, because we have breath.
Yeah.
So the element is ether, but it doesn't move. So must be some relationship with that. Just a question.
Yeah.
You know.
Good question.
Yeah. Like.
Well, it does. Yeah. It fills the voids. Ether and space. It's filling those voids. It's a good question.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm just thinking back to feng shui too, like how your furniture and your art, in my experience, can really affect your psychology and how you feel about yourself. Yeah. And when there isn't the flow of air, when the energy is not moving in a space, like you said, it can collect in a corner and get clogged. That I'm just curious to know that this particular chakra, that element, kind of activates all the elements. Actually, it can fuel the other elements.
Very much so.
Yeah,
they're all interconnected as well. So if something's out of balance, they say if your root chakra is out of balance, like it's going to be hard for everything else because it's the base.
Yeah.
But they are, it's fluid. The energy's flowing. They're going and wrapping through each other. So
maybe ether is just all inclusive somehow. I'll have to look into that. I'm curious to know about these developmental stages, because the chakras are there. So are you inferring that developmentally that we start activating and charging up our chakras through as we age?
That is what I have read, that
Okay.
they start to develop when we come into those areas.
Mhm.
Judith Lasser's book, she talks about like those kind of specific ages through development, but I've also read about, which I thought I was really excited to share with you later, is in stages of 7 years. So 1 to 7 is root chakra, 7 to 14, and then we end up kind of maturing on this level around 49. So there are some different ways to look at it, like everything. So
Yeah.
that could be a whole nother.
Yeah. My intuition is that the chakras are there, but we have more access to those portals of consciousness as we age.
Yes. Yeah.
That's kind of my,
They're
my
there.
sense of it.
Yeah, they're
there,
kind
but
of maturing and
yeah, that
developing.
once we get, as
Mhm.
we age, then we have more access where we can voluntarily make choices
Yeah.
with these themes.
Mhm.
Okay.
And I've also read, like, if those where they're developing, if you have trauma in that specific time, that area of your body can be
Okay.
affected.
Okay. Oh, interesting.
Mhm. So
Okay.
people who may have heart attacks or
Mm,
pain in a certain part of the body, that corresponds with that.
okay.
There's a lot.
Awesome.
And then we move up to the third eye, Ajna. And this is violet, indigo, purple. And this is our seat of intuition, wisdom. And then I love how you brought in the pineal gland, is the command center in our body. It's the command center. And this area of the body it's that knowing within. It's that, sometimes I've heard it as like that voice inside. So it's becoming, things are starting to become even more quiet as we move upward as well. And so we access this part through meditation. The upper chakras, that's how we access wisdom and intuition. I can read all I want about this, but until I feel it in my body, I'm not really going to know it until I actually sit and I'm in my body, which last night we were talking, it was late, he was asking me questions and I just was like, I'm too tired. But when I sat in my meditation, all of the answers, everything was just like channeled through me. It's just like this opportunity for me to like just download. So it's that command center. It's like everything's kind of downloaded into your hard drive. It's like in there. So there's your brain. That's where your brain is as well. And so it's said not only to be right here, but also of course going to the back of your skull. So it's front to back. It's not just like right in the front of the body. Sometimes we think of stuff, especially because we can see and we can really touch the front of our bodies a lot easier, but it's in the central channel and it's going out and in. So this is your command center. And this affirmation is, I trust my intuition. I see clearly. So are we able to trust our intuition? Are we tapped in to our intuition? And I really feel that I need that time to be quiet and still to access my intuition. If I'm moving too fast, and you've already witnessed it this week, like my brain is very fast processor. And so if I don't sit down and pause and get really quiet and let my intuition channel, I get really out of balance. So that's what I know about myself. And then the last chakra, the 7th chakra, is Sahasrara, and this is the spiritual connection. And it is pure white light. And I also have seen it visualized as just all over the body. So just pure white light all over the body, coming up and just like pouring out like a fountain of light all over the body. And it's also means the 1,000-petal lotus. And so this affirmation is, I am a divine being. I am a divine being. So we will be doing some movements, some more traditional poses. There's going to be a little GSY flow in there too for one of them. And we're going to see if we can again, sense and feel these areas of our body and think about how we might use some classical hatha yoga postures to move this stuck, move energy through the body, and then get a sense to be like, wow, am I really able to access that area? This is my area where I get a lot of pain, tension in the neck, and I used to, anyways, I could talk about that for a while, but this is where I'm blocked. I can really teach science, but when you ask me how I feel, I'm like,
Yeah.
I have a hard time speaking my truth. I could teach math and science easy, but there's, for me, that's where I'm challenged. So I know in my personal practice, it's very helpful for me personally to bring in movements that access this area of my body. It's also like your neck. It's the bottleneck. So there's this, then all the energy starts to be condensed here. So this is a very classic area where we all tend to get clogged and tight.
I have an image that came while you were going up and you were talking about the sixth chakra, like insight. I had an image that these are really challenging topics to talk about, by the way, like bringing words to energy. It's like, so I just, hopefully you're taking in what we're sharing as possible bridges to have your own experience. And I'm sure there's infinite ways to describe this, but so I just had an image that I am excited about, and it's the image of the rainbow. And I realized that there's 7 colors in a rainbow. So isn't that interesting? Like there's 7 chakras. And so what I was intending.
6 colors.
6 colors?
And then white.
And white. Okay, so thank you. So anyway, okay, so hold on a second. Let's see. So what I was getting when I was asking, like, how do we describe these energy centers? And I was imagining like slices of consciousness, or like I was intending to try to explain what I was feeling. I can see it now as light, like, so orange brings certain information, and yellow brings certain information, red brings certain, you know what I mean? Like they're each colors, and together they make a rainbow.
Yeah, and we haven't talked about the colors yet. He's jumped. I did talk about the colors. Yeah, you're right.
Okay, well, I wasn't, okay.
I think I skipped some colors, but we'll talk.
And there's a question here from Sharon too, but the way that I'm understanding it right now, kind of for the first time, is that a rainbow is multiple colors. It's not just one solid color. So when we're talking about the chakras, that's how I'm seeing it now, is that they each can bring these attributes. So when we're working with ourselves physically, energetically, psychologically, spiritually, I'm seeing it now, we're working with these colors to create a holistic. It's like we're this garden of colors, we're this garden of consciousness, we're this garden of. Yeah. Okay.
I think too of your friend and her daughter and the blending of the colors. And
yeah.
I mean, I'm getting all these.
Yeah. Well, I've had experiences in my spiritual experience when I've been growing. I've had experiences of using sound mantra, which we're going to be doing soon, that did travel as a slice. It did travel in a bandwidth or frequency or vibration. I'm curious, anybody who's listening or participating, when we're in the Q&A, if you have more to add to this, but back to like crystal bowls have notes. I'm starting to understand better through listening to your sharing how it's like each chakra, each portal has a note with these frequencies, with these themes. And we can clear and free and move.
There is a different vibration and different sound for each chakra as well. And I have a set of 7 singing bowls that each have a different sound that correspond. I wasn't going to travel with them. But we talked about that. So I use those sometimes when I do teach classes. And if I'm teaching a class and we're working on creating strength in the legs, I will specifically use that bowl in the meditation to bring awareness into it. There's so many layers.
One more thing. The word control is very interesting to me. Like I'm looking at my languaging, and when I did a workshop in England, we wanted to find out what people's highest value was. And I was really curious to find out that being in power, having power and being in control was what the feedback people wrote down what their highest values were on a piece of paper, and they gifted it. We wanted to make a poem at the end of the retreat. So I sat with it and I thought, isn't that interesting? Like, can we control anything? Because my experience is that I can't control anything. It's a false idea to control something.
Yep.
Change is more the truth
Mhm.
than control.
Mhm.
So I'm just wondering, while we're talking about this subject, is there another word, like,
Well, I think if you say you can't control your actions, then it starts to mean you don't take, we were talking about that before, like you can control your actions. I have a choice of how I'm going to treat someone. Like if you're like, oh, I can't control my actions. So I understand where you're going,
yeah,
but
I'm just curious because this is an
that one.
open forum and this is our relationship. We love
Yeah.
talking about everything.
Yeah.
So I'm just taking the moment to be like, well, maybe it's like response, like, can I respond to this information? Or do I react to the situation?
And that is what it is. Essentially, the heart of it is, are you acting from a place of love, or are you reacting unconsciously and just,
Yeah.
so, and the hope is that you do have, through the practice, control over that you can react from like any. We're going down a road.
We're gonna book that.
Yeah.
We're gonna
Bookmark
bookmark that. Yeah.
Okay, so I want to we're over 10 minutes.
Yeah.
15 minutes. So let's do some movement. So we are going to, I think we can probably flow through these a little. Might move through these a little faster.
That's okay. We have time.
So get up, move around a bit. I'll just take a minute here to get set up, and you can definitely use your yoga mat if you have a yoga mat.
Do you want me to bring one for you?
I was sliding around on.
Yeah, let me get a yoga mat. Let me get a yoga mat for you
today, but it's not totally necessary.
I'll bring them for you. It's not a problem.
Okay. If you have, does anyone not have a yoga block? A yoga block can be really helpful, or even a cushion or a pillow for one. It's not necessary at all. There'll be 2 options for one of the chakras. A chair is also an option to use a chair. So we're eventually going to have GSY props with the GSY symbol on it. In the different colors for the chakra you want to open up. So get yourself set up, and I will and myself. Okay.
I'll adjust this one.
Are you gonna?
Yeah, I get this to you.
Are you gonna practice?
I'll be over here. Yeah.
Okay. So I think the big one, tall man mat. Tall man mat here. I think this will work. So we'll start in mountain pose, which is most definitely, if you think of mountain, it is earth. So it is a great pose to start in, to start to feel your feet. So just take a moment to march. I think this feels really nice, to move the legs and just kind of any way that feels good. I'm feeling a little sticky from sitting.
You might need to amplify your voice because we don't
You want to put them in?
have speakers. Yeah.
Should we?
Yeah. Excuse us, everybody.
Sorry.
Excuse us, everyone. We're gonna connect. We're connecting Erin to earbuds so that her voice can come through clearer, and you'll need to connect through a device. Are those mine?
These are yours.
Okay. Please give us 1 second. Thank you.
And keep marching.
Oh, crap.
Stand by, technical difficulties. I was reading astrology this morning, and it said there's crazy times. You just have to learn to laugh through all of everything.
There we go.
How is the sound?
Wait, it's still connected. Not yet. Not yet.
I hear it.
There.
Yep. I'm getting some feedback.
There.
There we go. Okay, so standing in mountain pose. I'm still getting feedback in the ear. I can deal with it.
Well, hold on. I'm sure the sound is turned off. How about your computer? Is it in here?
Mhm. Mhm. Yes, if we mute there, it's not.
Oh, here. There.
Oh, yes. Okay, we're back. Perfect timing. It was 1:05. Just keep it on the every 5 minutes. It's nice. So coming into mountain pose. And you can have your feet wider here. You can bring your feet a little bit closer together. Whatever it feels grounding and stable for you. And sense here if you tend to have more weight in one foot than the other.
Yeah, Erin and James, I don't know if you can hear me, but
I can hear you.
the speaker view switched over to, I guess, the second account that James is logged into. So it's not on James Knight, it's on James. So I can't see very well.
Okay. Let's see here. I don't know. So you're not seeing me right now, you're seeing James?
Yeah, it's like a blank screen of James. So I think you need to pin James Knight.
I think that's what I'm on. Let's see here. Yeah, I don't know. Do you know what's going on here? You need to pin. I pinned the speaker. I pinned the speaker and then I can see them.
James is pinned, but not James Knight.
Okay. Let's see here. This is the host. How about now? Good? I'm seeing thumbs.
Now it's good.
Yeah. Now it's good. It comes up sometimes and doesn't. Okay.
Now we've lost the sound. But you look good, but we can't hear you.
Yeah, Erin, I don't know if you really need your earbuds in.
How about now? Oh, good. Okay, so you can see me and you can hear me. See and hear. Oh. So we're gonna step our feet wider apart here. Coming into warrior two, right foot is gonna turn forward. And then come on down into your warrior two and finding a place where it's easy to come into and noticing that. And then coming out about halfway there. And then I like to check in here again, noticing if I have weight balanced in my feet. So if I were to put 2 scales under your feet, do you feel even weight under both of your feet? We'll bring our arms up, inhaling. And just pause here, find a breath pattern that works for you. And then we're going to slowly come down in third. So moving down, pausing, moving down, another third, pausing, and moving down, pausing, holding for about 3 seconds, and then reground through your back foot. So you feel evenly balanced through right and left foot, reaching through the arms,
Where you have your head is up to you. I'm looking forward, but sometimes it feels nice to look over the heart center. I feel more balance there. And then coming out. And we'll turn our feet. I'm going to turn so that I'm facing you, but if you would like to just turn your feet and you'd be facing me. Yep, we're still working in the first chakra. So once again, sense your feet, your legs. Inhale here, and as you exhale, come down, feeling the strength of your legs. And then coming out. So you still have a little bend in that front knee. Firm the legs. Inhale, bringing the arms up, feeling that expansiveness through the whole body. Pause. And then coming down in thirds. So coming down, pause, root through the feet, come down, pause. Strong legs. I like to really squeeze my legs here. And then again, down, holding, breathing. And then coming out. Turn your feet so that they're parallel to each other. Firm the legs, press through the feet. Take some deep breaths in. And then begin to bring the legs together. And returning once again to mountain pose and noticing how that feels in the body. Oh, I feel a lot of energy through my legs. So what's it feel like for you now through your legs? And even sensing the very base of the pelvic floor. Muladhara chakra. So again, this earth energy, we're bringing this feeling of strength through our legs. Many of the standing poses will do this for you. We're going to come into goddess pose. I'm just going to step and straddle this mat so I'm still facing you. So take a moment to shift your weight left to right. So we're working now with the pelvis, and James did something very similar where he was tucking the tailbone. Okay? So we're going to come up and pause, and then we're going to come down into the pose, making sure you're not moving into pain or strain. Notice where you feel like it's a comfortable space, and then go ahead and come back up with still a little bend in the knee here. Arms can be out. You can bring the thumb and the first finger together if you'd like, or you can always keep the hands on the hips. And we're going to come down in thirds again. And I invite you here as we come down in thirds to play around with the tucking of the tailbone and the arching so that you come into a place that's comfortable. Coming down another third, a little tuck and arch, and then down, making sure there's no pain, strain in your knees and your legs, and then coming up to pause. Could be helpful to place one hand on your sacrum and your pelvis here. So the pelvis is interesting. I've done a lot of alignment-based classes where the teachers are really telling me to arch my low back, but I have experienced a lot of the green trauma effects in my body. And so really, I need to do the opposite. I need to tuck my tailbone. So now when I teach, I want my students to, what feels good in your body? What are you sensing? What are you feeling in your body? Does it feel good to tuck the tailbone? Does it feel good to arch the back and bring a little movement, even side to side, even like circling the pelvis? So this next one, feel free to move into the different gyrations of the pelvis. So we'll do this one more. Coming down, finding that edge, and then coming out. Pause, strengthen the legs, and then begin to play around with a little tucking and arching, and maybe even a little side to side. Sometimes we have one hip that hikes up a little bit more than the other. And perhaps you find a little bit of freedom in the SI joint as you do this. So please pay attention to that. And then coming down. And down, pausing. And then coming up and stepping the feet together, back to mountain pose, and sensing and feeling into the pelvic bowl, what that feels like for you. I'm getting a lot of warmth here. I can really sense and feel kind of this activation and energy across this whole band of the hips and the pelvis. So what's it feel like for you right now in your body? Sometimes I feel a little tremoring and shaking. We're going to transition to sit for this next one. And I am going to sit just on the very corner of this cushion. So you can sit in a chair to do this next one. Sit in a way that allows you to sit up tall. And we will be moving from this pranayama then into a twist. So this morning I was practicing, I had a different pranayama I was thinking about using, and it didn't activate this this chakra for me at all. So I switched. There's a couple options I was thinking of here. So taking James's lead here, take a forward fold, and that feels good. Yeah. And then slowly coming up and feeling your pelvis coming into its comfortable position. So we are moving up through the chakras. So I want you to feel comfortable in your legs. I want you to have your legs in a place that's comfortable. You can be sitting in a chair, and then a little bit of movement of your pelvis so that you feel ease. You feel ease in your pelvis, but then you also feel a sense of ease up through the rest of the body. So we're going to bring in the pranayama, which is called Bhastrika, the bellows breath. And so a bellows is that tool used to stoke a fire. So we're going to be stoking our internal fire with a forceful exhalation and a forceful inhalation, with the option of using the arms. And we're going to do 3 rounds of 21. They go by very, very quickly. So it's going to look like this. It's going to be an inhale with the arms up and an exhale down, and just straight down, not back, but just straight down as you pull the navel in. If at any time when we're doing pranayama, just like the poses, it feels uncomfortable for you, you can visualize, you could just do the breath if it feels like the arms are too much. So it's an inhale to reach the arms up. So it's going to look like that. There is a lot of, this is a forceful breath. So I can't breathe and talk at the same time. I haven't gotten there yet, but I will. Last one, as we come down, we'll pause and we'll just take a natural breath. We'll sense and feel how that shifted the energy for us in our body. It's dealing with fire. You will feel heat activated in the body. Okay, take a deep breath in and out. And let's do one more breath together. Ideally in and out through the nose, but if it feels uncomfortable to breathe out through the nose, you could do a forceful exhale through the mouth. Beginning, inhale. A little faster. Last one. Breathe in, reaching, spreading the fingers, and then exhale, let the arms come down and rest. Bring your attention to navel center. The arms are involved as well. You're going to feel some activation, but overall, we're building this fire, this heat in the body. Wow, I just feel buzzing all over through my body, especially right here. It's the diaphragm. So we're working physiologically, we're working with the diaphragm here, which as you inhale moves down into the belly. So we're like stoking, this diaphragm is moving. It's like the bellows stoking the internal fire. 2 more sets. You do not have to do another set if it's not feeling comfortable for you. Breathing in, palms open, and exhale, pull through. Suck the air in and push it out. Last one. Reach up and sweeping the arms down, pausing, sensing. What does it feel like for you in your body? Relax the shoulders, the face, the jaw. Set here, breathing in, spreading the fingers. And forceful exhale and inhale. Last one. Breathe in and exhale. Open the jaw, soften, throat. Extending the legs out for a moment, moving into our somatic twist. I like to be off the cushion for this one, so sitting on a flat surface. And you can do this in a chair. So if you're in a chair, your knees will be bent and you'll just bring your left hand to the outside of your right knee. If you're sitting, please bring your right shin in front of your left shin. So we'll be twisting to the right first. So right shin is in front and then we'll switch. Yep. Right shin is in front. Left hand is going to be to the right knee. Right hand is behind you. You could always be on a block too as well. And as you inhale, opening up the chest here, twisting to the right. And as you exhale, coming forward and letting your spine round. So we're working with Anahata chakra here, the heart. So I want you, I just got a nice pop right behind my shoulder blades. So I want you to feel the energy drawing in like you're spreading your shoulder blades. If it feels comfortable to move with the breath, it does for me here, but I don't want that to feel confusing or overwhelming for you. If it does work, you can inhale and begin to open up, twisting to the right, drawing your shoulder blades together, pausing, and then exhaling and coming forward. And using the muscles on the front side of the belly, curling in. And two more, lifting the chest, opening. Don't crank with the head, so just a soft gaze to the right if it feels like it's too much. With the head looking forward and drawing the shoulder blades together on the back side of the body, feeling the heart open, the sternum, and then releasing, looking forward. And I'm going to turn to the side. This is something that has helped me with my shoulder, is I let my right palm, the palm in the back relax and turn up. This lets my shoulder come in more. If the hand's the other way, the shoulder will stay open. So if I turn my palm upwards in the back and I can rest, it lets my shoulder come forward. It lets me feel a little bit more opening in the back side of the body. And then as I twist, I just turn my fingertips to the floor, palm down, lengthening. If it feels good to have a nice big inhale here, opening. And then last one, releasing. Draw the belly in. And then come into that twist and we'll hold for just 3 seconds. I can feel that we've got a lot more heart expansion here. The shoulder blades are back. It feels a lot more expansive for the heart. So notice what it feels like for you. And then coming back to the center. Extend the legs out. And then we will switch. Left shin is in front. And twisting to your left, notice how that feels for you, really in the heart centers, we're focusing on that. So the heart space is more dealing with the thoracic spine where the ribs are and the lungs. So this is great for people who have long haul COVID and are having issues. So the breath, of course, moving the energy through the body, working with the breath, and the lungs coming forward and letting everything relax. If it felt good for you on the other side, you can let your left palm turn up and let the palm relax, drawing the navel in, looking down. And then beginning to feel the pelvis roll forward as the spine lengthens, stacking the vertebrae. Fingertips to the floor. Again, a fist might help or a hand on the block. And gently twisting, drawing the shoulder blades together. And releasing. If it feels good to pair it with the breath, I do like to exhale here. Find what feels comfortable and easeful for your body. Let's do 2 more. Moving slowly, feeling the expansiveness through the heart, from shoulder to shoulder, lifting. I'm getting lots of cracks and pops with this one. Releasing and letting go, drawing the belly in. And again, since the shoulder blade's spreading here, so back of the heart as well as the front of the heart. One more, opening. I'm someone who's a very type A personality. I have to pay attention to how much I'm pushing myself in the twists. We don't ever want to really use force. We don't want to use force in this practice. And then coming in, and what's that like for you now on this side across the heart? Coming forward. And in the Soma scan here. And so sensing, this is getting a little bit more on this esoteric side, and sometimes it can be hard to tap into that. But on an energetic side, there are the 3 gunas they talk about. And there's this tamasic energy. It's kind of heavy and can be stagnant. And there's rajasic, which is very like anxious and very quick moving. And then sattvic, which is this clear, calm, and connected energy. So that might help you to kind of sense, like, if someone says, what's your energy like? You know, so I'm feeling more open and centered here. I can feel a little anxious before I begin to teach, but I can feel that my energy has become more centered here, more calm and clear and connected. From here, extend your legs, and we're going to come into a pose. We're going to hold this pose. I'm not going to do the somatic because of time. And the options are child's pose. And if you have a challenging time flexing the knees, you can keep your hips up. If it's uncomfortable to be on the knees, you can use a chair. Can I show the chair for this option? So this chair has a curvature to it, but I would just step back and bend my knees. And we're working with Ajna chakra here, so the third eye. So I'm going to let my third eye rest on something. So you could be here. It's almost like a hybrid forward fold, downward dog. So you're letting the third eye rest. That is an option. Or full child's pose, opening the knees a bit, bringing the forehead to the floor. If it doesn't comfortably come to the floor, you could stack the fists or the palms. Yeah, we could move that. Or the palms. You could put a bolster or cushion under your legs and sit on that, or you can just simply keep your bottom up in the air and bring your forehead down to the palms. And the final option would be, really, it is more yang, it is more heat building, but it would be downward dog and then putting the block under your forehead. So your forehead actually rests on the block in downward dog position. We are moving into this Ajna chakra. I missed the throat one. So the child's pose. I mix the two up. So I'm actually gonna, we're gonna stay here and then we'll come to our back, but we are working with the more subtle now. So coming into child's pose, forehead down to the floor, making sure it's supported. Resting here. I like to close my eyes in this position as well, so that we are working on that practice of interoception. So noticing and sensing what is going on inside of the body, what we're feeling, instead of being drawn outside of the body through our senses. What am I seeing? What am I hearing? Pulling that attention more internal. What's it feel like in your head? You feel strain in the eyes. Sometimes we have headaches, any tension. And can you soften a bit more through the face, through the third eye? And then slowly coming up. You can come up very slowly, whatever position you're in. If you were in that, love that some of you did take that. I saw the chair variation, just bending the knees and coming up slowly, hands on the chair. And then we're going to transition to come on our backs. And I'm going to turn to the side so you can really see the neck in this one. And we're going to be mobilizing the neck and the throat with this one. So I apologize, I got these two little, I went right into the child's pose. So be lying on our backs and we're working with the throat here. The classic one that I was thinking of with the throat, and I think that's why I took it out at the last moment, because a block is really necessary for the supported fish pose to make it, to take a strain and stretch out of it. And I was thinking of how we can bring some of the more somatic movement into this. So apologize for that little confusion, but it will bring us into Shavasana. So you can options here, interlace your fingers and hold your hands behind your head. And if that is uncomfortable, just simply have your arms down by your side and you will still be mobilizing the neck. But if you would like to bring the arms into this, it can feel really nice because the arms come in and kind of hold the head as well. So throat and head, of course, are linked. So I think that's okay that we switched them here. So we're going to work on opening the throat. So tipping the chin towards the ceiling, and I'll have James will do a great job of using the arms and I'll do it without the arms. So if you've got your hands interlaced behind the head, you're going to gently press your elbows into the earth as you tip the chin to the sky and feeling that opening through the throat. And as you exhale, without lifting the head up off the floor, take the chin to the chest and squeeze the elbows together. So the forearms give the head a gentle hug. This is a really nice one I do if I've got headaches. And then inhale, tipping the chin to the throat. And I'm bringing the inhale in here because when we close the throat, it's harder to inhale. So tipping the chin to the ceiling, feeling that opening, or arching the neck, and then taking the chin to the chest as you exhale. Inhale, if you have the hands behind your head, chin to the ceiling, you press the elbows into the earth. And as you exhale, chin to chest, head is in hands and heavy, and you just gently squeeze the forearms into the temples, pin the chin to the chest. Let's do two more and take it at your own time. There is a component of moving the low back, and your low back is probably moving on its own. So just allow that, but we're not going to bring it into this one. And breathe. If you find a breath pattern that feels more comfortable for you, I invite you to listen to your body and take that breath pattern. Next time the chin comes to the chest, pause and gently press your skull down into the earth with about half your strength. So scale to 1 to 10, about 5, no strain, and then release completely, letting your head come to a neutral position. And then tip your chin to the ceiling and gently press the back of your skull into your hands or into the earth. Again, about half your effort here. And then bring your head back to neutral. And do any movements here that feel nice for your neck without lifting your head up off the floor. So you could make figure 8s. You could take your head side to side. And then coming to pause. Coming into our Soma scan for Sahasrara chakra. So really letting the body rest here. Extending the arms and legs. And because the focus is Sahasrara chakra, I want to start at the crown of the head with the Soma scan and come back to the crown of the head. So starting at the crown of the head, move your awareness down through the back of the skull, following the curvatures of the spine, so back of the neck, back of the heart, thoracic spine, low back, the lumbar, into the sacrum. Feel the weight of the pelvis and the hips. Take your attention down through the back of the legs to the feet. And then sweeping your awareness up through the front of the body, tops of the feet, front of the ankles, shins, knees, thighs, belly, chest and heart, the front of the arms, through the neck, the face, softening the face, the eyes, and sensing that space right between the ears, out where the pineal gland is, and the very top of the skull. And we'll hold our attention there, so that inner drishti. What does the energy feel like for you right now? You feel like the energy is flowing, it feels easeful, there's just an overall sense of ease in your body. There's something drawing your attention. Being compassionate with yourself as you do these Soma scans and things come up for you. Can you release the body a little bit more? So we sense the releasing of the physical body. The bones are heavy. The skin is soft. There's no muscular contraction, especially around the eyes and the jaw. And then sense the breath moving in and out through the nose and around the body. So we're taking in this energy from outside of the body, bringing it in and exchanging it back out. Can you sense the energy field around your body? The physical body is like this chalk outline on the ground, and then this energetic body around it. And what's it feel like? Can you sense that aura? Does it feel very expansive? Sometimes I feel really big when I'm meditating. My body, I can feel my energetic body, my aura really big, really expansive. And taking some deep breaths here. Some sighs, wiggling fingers and toes, arms and legs. And then reaching the arms up over the head. Bending the knees and pausing here. And we're going to transition to our final practice, which will be a meditation, guided meditation. So please take your time to roll to either side, and taking a full breath there at least. And then slowly coming up to sit, and with as little effort as possible, finding a comfortable sitting position, and do support yourself. So getting a cushion, we will be here for a bit. So I want to make sure that you are completely comfortable. And so we'll check in with our physical body first. And so sensing the weight of the legs and making sure that your legs are supported. You feel like you can sit here for 20 minutes or so. If you feel like you need to move or adjust, please do so, but start in a position where you feel like you can settle in. Align your pelvis. So for your soma, it feels very comfortable, feels very easeful. Adjusting your cushion if you feel like you need more of an arch, or if you feel like you need more of a tuck. Soften the belly. We're not using any constrictions. If you're familiar with the bandhas, that is all soft. We're not gripping anywhere in the body. There's a softness through the shoulders, so you don't have to try to draw your shoulders back. Little movements that feel good, waves to feel as if you're settling in. Sometimes I feel like I'm kind of settling into the sand on the shore. And feel that your heart is centered over your pelvis, and there's a sense of ease here. The throat is soft. And then with the head, some nods, perhaps some glides forward and back, like the walk like an Egyptian. It feels really nice for my soma to let the back of my neck really lengthen, as if there's imagery for me I love in meditations, if there's like an old school antenna. I remember my grandfather had a radio and he would pull that antenna up in the morning to make sure he had good reception to get the weather. So we want good reception with this divine energy. So can you imagine there's an antenna radiating upward from the very base of the skull, the occiput. And then there's a softness down the front of the face. So we're not jutting our chin out. We're letting the senses soften. This is called pratyahara. The 5 senses are softening. Bringing your awareness down to the very base of your pelvic floor. Visualizing this red orb, the light emanating down into the earth, on all sides, front and back and upward. Each chakra has a bija. Bija means a seed sound. And the root chakra is Lam. So as we have our awareness in this area of the body, in this chakra, and we are visualizing the color red, we're going to be chanting these bijas. We don't need to bring any other mental thoughts into them. If they arise, that's fine, but we're just going to be sitting with the visualization of the color and chanting the bija sound. If it's uncomfortable or for whatever reason you don't want to chant, you will get the same benefit from listening and taking that energy in through your senses. So it is Lam, 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 and we'll do 3 at a time. So we'll do 3 breaths, and each breath we'll do 3 sounds. So it'll sound like this. Lam, lam, lam. And we'll do that 3 times. So each bija has the sound of the at the end, where the mouth is closing and you're letting that resonance move through the body. And see if you can feel this bija sound resonating in the pelvic floor. So taking a breath in. Lam, lam, lam. Breathe in. Lam, lam, lam. Again. Lam, lam, lam. Full breath. In and out. You feel the desire to sigh out, to let the energy move through you, always an invitation. Drawing your awareness up to the pelvic bowl, visualizing this orb of orange light right in front of the sacrum. The bija sound is Vam, V-A-M. And the A in Sanskrit is pronounced so it's Vam. This is the sound is this guttural sound. And then the resonates within the throat. Breath in, so Vam, the V, breathing in. Vam, Vam, Vam. Vam, Vam, Vam. Vam, Vam, Vam. Breathing in and out. Moving your awareness up to the solar plexus, this bright yellow orb behind the navel. The sound is Ram with an R. And in Sanskrit, it's not a hard R like we say Ra, but the tongue actually comes to the tip of the mouth. So it's Ram, Ram, Ram. Breathing in. Ram, Ram, Ram. Ram, Ram, Ram. Feeling that vibration right at the navel center again. Ram, Ram, Ram. Breathing in and out. Moving your awareness up to the heart center. Anahata chakra. The color is green and the bija is yum. Y-A-M, but it sounds like yum. Love this one. I can really feel that vibration in the heart here. Holding the awareness there. Breathing in. Yum, yum, yum. Yum, yum, yum. Yum, yum, yum. Sitting with that for a moment, breathing. Moving your attention and awareness up to the throat chakra, Vishuddha. The bija is hum, so spelled H-A-M, but sounds more like hum, like you are humming. So this blue orb of light in the throat. Breathing in. Hum, hum, hum. Hum, hum, hum. Hum, hum, hum. Bring the awareness up to the third eye, Arjuna chakra. The color is purple. The bija is Om, and Om is seen as O-M. It's really 3 syllables, A-U-M or A-U-M. And with this one, we are going to be making the sound of ah, pulling the energy up from the pelvic floor into the heart with ooh, all the way up to the third eye with the sound of mm. And at the very end, when you chant om, you take the tip of your tongue and you touch it to the very roof of the mouth as if you're trying to touch the pineal gland. You're trying to touch the very center of your skull, that energetic core. Breathing in. Om, om, om. Om, om, om. Om, om, om. Moving your awareness up to the very crown of your head. 1,000-petaled lotus flower opening up. The Sushumna Nadi is said to be the stalk from this lotus, rooted in the mud, drawing the nutrients up. So we need the mud, no lotus. And white light pouring out all over your body, front, back, and sides. And the sound is silence. Feel the breath moving in and out through your nostrils, that Ida and Pingala energy flowing around Sushumna Nadi, crossing through the chakras. This energy moving from the root to the crown and all around. invitation for the next 5 minutes to stay right here, or to come into Shavasana again. Choose the position that supports your soma, that allows you to find the most ease. And we'll be here for 5 minutes. Staying in this silence, bathing in these vibrations and in this energy, in this collective soma, this sangha, this community. Perhaps you felt something in a specific chakra. You could keep your mind's eye there. One resonated with you, can bring your internal awareness to that specific place and simply breathe. If you find that the mind is on walkabout, you can chant Om to yourself silently. Just like we did in threes. With each inhale and exhale. Sensing that space from the base of the pelvic floor to the crown. The tube about the diameter of a garden hose. Open, receptive, clear. Breath and energy flowing effortlessly with ease. Begin to deepen the breath. And rub the fingers together, starting to bring sensation back into the physical body. And rub the hands on the legs. And then bringing the palms together, pausing here. And then slowly begin to move the hands away from each other. So the hands are just 1 millimeter away. And see if you can sense the energy between the palms. And just slowly move the hands away from each other. So slowly that it can barely detect you're moving. And then bring the hands back together. And then away. You can play with how fast you're moving your hands and see if you can sense the energy between the palms. This magnetic pull. And pausing somewhere where your hands are not touching and you're simply holding that space, holding that energy between the palms. And slowly bringing the palms together to touch. Bringing the base of your thumb at the base of your sternum. So there's this feeling of lifting up. Taking a nice breath in and out. As you exhale, bowing the head to the hands and to the heart. So there's this union with our actions and with our thoughts and with our heart. Head, hands, and heart all come together. In love and unity. And slowly releasing the hands and opening the eyes. So it's just a little after 2. This, for me, is a pretty powerful practice. I need a little bit of a transition to come back, so I want to offer that to you as well. So we'll meet in 5 minutes. So 8 minutes after the hour. 8 minutes after the hour. You might feel like you want to stay here for a bit, or you want to return to Shavasana, or do whatever you need to do, and we'll come back at 8 after the hour.